I'm completely exhausted. 2 long weeks on the road launching a new international office in London, combined with excessive travel, had left me exhausted. But the worst part was being away from my girls, and the 16-hour journey home was absolute hell, even in first class. I hated being away from my girls and my sexy wife. I always do this, but the lifestyle I have created for my family means that work can be challenging. Due to high demand, my energy company has grown and expanded to 12 countries. 5 years ago, I bought out Roger, my partner. These 5 years were difficult, but at the same time rewarding. But I'm finally ready to sit back and enjoy the success, since I hired a new president to run the operation while I remain CEO and owner. I plan to tell the girls the good news as soon as I get home. I'm excited because I'll have more time with my family and friends and get back to my normal life. Do not misunderstand me. I love how my company has grown, but deep down my goal has always been to spend more time watching my girls grow and spend more time with my wife. I feel blessed to finally be able to step back and enjoy the fruits of my labor at the age of 45. Over the years, the country club membership, the new Lamborghini SUV that Zoe wanted, the girls' private school, the new 900 square meter house that Zoe talked me into, along with all the extras, were expensive, but worth every penny when I saw their smiling faces and felt their warm hugs. My life may have been stressful, but it was always full of love and warmth. I wouldn't change a thing and now look forward to the next chapter of my life with my family. 30 minutes from home, while my driver navigated traffic, I sat in the back seat of the limousine, relaxing and enjoying the second glass of bourbon I had poured from the sidebar after we left the airport. The house seemed quiet as we drove down the circular driveway, but I knew from experience that within minutes, the girls would be jumping on their daddy and their mommy would greet me with a warm kiss and the promise of a wonderful night with her in my arms. To my horror, I entered an empty house. The only sound was the driver putting my bags in the lobby. I called out to them. There was no answer. It was strange. The girls were always at home when I returned from a trip. I hoped everything was okay. Then I saw an envelope with my name written in her wonderful handwriting. To Jonathan from his loving wife, Zoe. After the driver left, I carried my bags to the room, changed out of my suite and put on some comfortable sweet pants, and then headed to the bar for another glass of Eagle Rari 10-year-old Malt Bourbon. Anticipating a message of love from my wife, I settled into my favorite chair and took a long sip of the expensive elixir, enjoying the burn before opening the envelope. Jonathan, my love. What an amazing journey we have been on as husband and wife. I have cherished every minute of the last 16 years and look forward to the next 50 that I will spend together as your loving wife. Darling, you know that I love you so much and you mean the world to me. You are my whole life, and I can't live without you. The love you give me is all I want, and I long to be in your arms every day. I've missed you so much these past 2 weeks, and I can't wait to see you later tonight. Those words warmed my heart even more than the bourbon warmed my stomach. I am lucky to have her as my wife. Have I told you recently that your sweet, tender lovemaking makes me shiver whenever I think about you? Do you remember how I told you shortly before you left on this last trip that I was madly in love with you and wanted to be with you forever? Whenever I look at our girls, I see how much they respect and love you, because you are the best father any child could ask for. They love you as much as I do, and we are all blessed to have you in our lives. Wow, I always cry when I think about my 2 girls. I love them more than all my possessions and can't wait to hug and kiss them again. I never told you this, but all my friends are jealous of our relationship and how tenderly we still treat each other, even after all these 16 years of marriage. They all know how much we love each other and would love for them to have the same in their own lives. There are several reasons for this letter, dear. First of all, I want to thank you for being you, for giving me the most wonderful 16 years of my life, for being a wonderful father to our children, for the wonderful lifestyle that you allowed us to experience, and most importantly, for all the love you constantly shower on me. The other reason is something I feel I need to share. This is what has been bothering me for the past 6 months. This is something I never expected, and unfortunately, it has become an important part of my life. Doesn't sound very good. I'm not sure I should read any further, and definitely shouldn't until I've filled my glass to calm down. It must be the jet lag. Zoe and the girls are my life. I can't believe I had bad thoughts. She probably joined a new club or took up an expensive new hobby. Everything you just read is true, and every word comes from my heart, so what I'm about to tell you is the hardest thing I've ever done. As much as I love you and will never stop loving you, I have to confess something. I pray that you understand and don't be disappointed in me or leave me because of this. I've had a lover for the past 6 months. I really shouldn't call him a lover because he's more of a sexual partner. I have no feelings or love for this man, but we have a sexual relationship. What the hell? Zoe cheating on me? After all the love and affection, all the freedom, everything she ever wanted, she betrays her vows? Our sex life was great. How could this happen? I feel my heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. No, Zoe would never take a lover, would she? I trusted her with all my heart and soul. How could she ruin everything we achieved together? All those years ruined by a tasteless fling? She can't be that stupid. The reason I'm telling you this now is out of respect and a deep sense of guilt. I can't live with this guilt anymore, and I need you to know that I was unfaithful, but only in a sexual way. You'll never understand this, but I don't feel love for him, just a sexual attraction that I can't explain. He does things to me that I can't put into words, and no matter how hard I try, I can't stop. He has become my addiction, and I need him in my life. I'm sure you have a lot of questions, and I'll be completely honest. I respect you too much to lie or hurt you in any way, but I'm afraid this confession has probably caused you some pain, and so I can only hope that you can understand what I need. You did more than just hurt. Total honesty, you already lied to me. How can I trust you again? What have you done, Zoe? Please believe that I did my best to keep this a secret from you and not let it affect our lives. And if you look back, I think you'll agree that you didn't see any difference in our relationship, and I know we were both happy. Nothing has changed between us since this started, but I understand that it can't end soon, so it's only fair that you know all about it. No secrets, baby. I love and respect you too much to ever do that. Please understand that my need for him is purely physical, and I will not allow my being with him to interfere with our love or intimacy. I just needed to let you know that there is another part of me that I gave to another man, but that part of me has nothing to do with my love for you and the importance of our family. Family is the most important part of my life, and my #1 value. Nothing will change that. I know this will be a shock to read and it hurts to hear, but I know what kind of person you are and how much you love me. Knowing this gave me the confidence and courage to admit my cheating because deep down, I know that you will understand my needs and forgive me. Your patience and understanding are just 2 of the many things I love about you, honey. If you knew what type of man I am, you would never didn't do that to me and the girls. You greatly underestimated me and just ended our marriage. You can forget about any forgiveness. No, the only thing you will get from me is revenge. Our girls are staying the night at your mom's, so don't worry about them, and they can't wait to see their daddy in the morning. I'm with my friend tonight because I wanted to give you some time alone to read my letter and understand how everything will happen next. I'll be home around 10 p.m., and we can pick up where we left off as if nothing has changed. Because nothing has changed, darling. I love you as much today as I did yesterday, and after we are reunited tonight, I know that I will love you even more, if that is even possible. I will be all yours as soon as I return home, and you can once again make sweet love to your loving wife. Just remember as you read this that you are the love of my life, and I am yours until death do us part. I'm yours, baby, and I'll give you everything you want or need. Thank you for being you and the best husband a girl could ever dream of. Love always and forever. Your devoted wife, Zoe. After finishing the letter, I realized that the glass of bourbon I was drinking was now part of the adjacent wall. I didn't remember even throwing the glass, let alone throwing it with such force that some of the shards actually embedded themselves in the wall. Apparently, my subconscious took over and brought me to a higher level of understanding. The ability to make quick decisions is what led me to success in business, and now I acted out of habit. I took out a piece of paper and wrote a letter back, sealed the envelope with her name clearly written on the front, and placed it on the table next to the envelope that was addressed to me. I put her letter in my pocket, took some luggage, and went up to the girls' room to pack clothes for a few days, since we had a little trip ahead of us. In the car, I called my handler and ordered the corporate jet to be prepared for a trip to San Francisco, where I planned to stay for the near future with my girls. By 6:30 that evening, I was in my Range Rover, on the way to my mom and dad's house to pick up the girls. I have a corporate apartment near my California office where I already stored a full set of clothes and everything I needed for an extended stay. An apartment would be ideal until I talked to my lawyers and planned for my immediate future. When I arrived at my parents' house, the girls ran out to greet me with big smiles on their faces and 100 kisses. They were happy to see me, and I felt like I was smiling for the first time since I got home. "Dad! Dad is at home! We missed you, Daddy, and didn't think we'd see you until tomorrow. Mom said you won't be back until tomorrow. She was supposed to meet her friend Jamie this evening, and we came here to see the grandparents." I hugged and kissed them, and felt tears running down my face from all the love and the knowledge that their lives were about to change because of their mother's betrayal. Their warm embrace truly calmed my soul, and it was at that moment that all my problems ceased to exist. The name Jamie did not escape my notice, and I put it in my memory bank for a while. After the girls calmed down, I told them that I had a surprise and that we were going on a trip for a few days and they were going to fly on the company plane. I promised them a fun and exciting vacation. Convincing the girls was the easiest part. Explaining something to Mom and Dad is a completely different story. They clearly felt my pain and objected to me taking the girls until I let them read the letter. I explained that I needed some time to get to a safe place to think and plan without letting my emotions get in the way. I then explained that I had left a letter for Zoe and that I would call her from the plane. Finally, I promised that I would be back within 2 weeks and that it was just a short trip and that they should not worry about the girls as they would be well taken care of. On the way to the private terminal, I called my new president and told him that I was going to be in the California office and that he should manage things on his own and contact me only in emergencies. "William, the reins of power for the next few weeks are in your hands. Let's see how you cope without my advice. I'm sure you'll be fine, and the staff will be happy to help you. I need some time to resolve a personal issue, so contact me only if absolutely necessary. You will do a great job, and I know my company is in good hands. Make me proud of you, William." "Don't worry, Mr. King. I will sort everything out, and everything will be fine. Call me for daily updates if you like. I know how difficult it can be to place your child in the wrong hands. Let me know if you need anything while you're there." When we boarded the plane, the girls were running up and down the aisle of the 16-seat passenger plane and playing with the flight attendant, who adored the girls. Jessica has been one of our regular helpers, and we have become good friends over the past 2 years. Spending hours alone on flights can create friendships with the right people. It was 11 o'clock and the girls were sleeping. The lights in the cabin were dimmed and the atmosphere was calm and relaxing. That's when I dialed my home number to talk to Zoe. "Jonathan, where are you, honey?" "Zoe, listen carefully and don't interrupt because I might lose contact at this altitude. I already know that you read my letter and know that the girls are with me. They will call you in the morning. I'll call you in the next few days to discuss everything. Call my mom and dad if you need anything in the meantime. Good night." I passed out before she could answer. The flight went smoothly and we landed at 1 a.m. I carried the girls to the waiting limousine and then, sometime later, went up to my house. I put them to bed, kissed them, and 10 minutes later fell into bed without even unpacking my things. Tomorrow we will have enough time for this. I can't wait to meet my wonderful husband. I crave his touch. These 2 weeks without him passed so slowly. Tonight, I will be his perfect wife and rock his world. My favorite part of his business trips is always his first night back home. His sexual desire and love for me is amazing. Entering the house, I noticed that the light was off. I bet he's tired from his long trip. "Honey, I'm home." "Maybe he's in bed. I'll check." He's not there, and the phone isn't answering, and there are no missed calls or text messages. It's weird. Let me check the patio. Perhaps he is resting outside. On my way to the patio, I noticed an envelope on the table, and suddenly I had a bad feeling. It was addressed to me, right next to the one I left for him earlier. I slowly picked it up and then nervously opened the envelope. I wasn't sure what to expect, but before I had a chance to read his letter, my cell phone rang. It sounded loud in the silence. One glance at the screen showed that it was Jonathan, and I quickly answered his call. I barely had time to say hello before Jonathan told me to listen and not interrupt. He used what I called his work voice, commanding and impersonal. I listened, and with every word I heard more and more pain in his voice. I wanted to interrupt him and tell him I loved him, but I decided to wait until he finished. I regretted this decision because he hung up. I knew it wasn't good. Things definitely weren't going the way I expected. For a moment or two, I felt as if I was frozen in time. I just stood there with my phone in one hand and the letter he was referring to in the other. Then suddenly my heart started beating faster again, and I jumped, dropping my phone. It fell with a thud onto the tiled floor, but I didn't pay attention to it and turned my attention to the letter. My hands were shaking, and I could barely make out Jonathan's words through the tears streaming down my face. Dear Zoe, thank you for your letter and honesty. Yes, our 16 years together were the happiest years of my life. You gave me two special girls whom I love with all my heart. The love we shared was special, and I am not surprised to hear that our friends are jealous of our love and closeness, because you have always been the most important thing in my life. I was going to surprise you tonight and tell you how I've made some changes at work that will give me a lot more time to be with you and the girls. But I was the one who got the big surprise by showing up to an empty house. All I thought about on the day of my trip was hugs and kisses from my girls and romantic kisses from my stunning, sexy wife. But for the first time in all the years I've been traveling, I came back to an empty house. It's been a long, tiring trip, and I just wanted to get home and relax with you tonight. But unfortunately, I sit here alone in my big, empty house, a broken man. I was disappointed and saddened until I saw an envelope addressed to me on the table. I was hoping that the letter would contain some surprise from you and the girls and that you would all return home soon, but the letter was not at all what I expected. Yes, I loved you with all my heart, and as you wrote in your letter, I was madly in love with you and wanted to spend the rest of my life with you and our daughters, and perhaps in the future, our grandchildren. From your letter, I realized that you may have overestimated my understanding and forgiveness. As soon as I read your confession about your 6-month affair, you ended our marriage. In fact, the moment you showed any closeness to your lover marked the end of us as a married couple. We, or should I say I, just didn't realize it until I read your letter. Tears begin to flow from her eyes as she just realized that she may have ended their marriage. No, God, please no. This can't be happening. Jonathan should have understood. Zoe was now on her knees and sobbing, covering her face with her hands, realizing for the first time that she might have made a big mistake. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but I will not understand or accept your need for another man. I am happy that you have found someone to fulfill your sexual needs and your special connection. But because of your infidelity, you have given up your right to be my wife and the mother of my children. The girls are with me, and we're heading to my office in San Francisco next week. I need time away from you and our home to comprehend your confession and your actions. You can call the girls tomorrow afternoon since we won't land until 1 a.m., and they'll be tired from our trip. I need to be with my girls right now because they are the only thing keeping me sane. As you know, they are in good hands, so you don't have to worry. Now you will have a lot of free time to be with your loved one while I figure everything out. We have no reason to talk, so please do not call or text, as I will not answer your calls. Please call the girls and FaceTime as often as you like. I won't stop you from seeing them, and I won't let them know that their mother exchanged their dad for another man. I'll let you do it when the time comes. He has to answer my call. He loves me. I have to make him understand that I only want him. I'll tell him it's over. I know he'll forgive me. Why won't he answer the phone? Damn it, Jonathan. Please talk to me. He needs to talk to me before he does something stupid. I know him and I need to talk to him quickly and explain everything better. Your affair has caused me unfathomable pain, and I am puzzled that you would think that I would accept this and allow you to have an affair and break your wedding vows. You destroyed my whole world with this one letter, and it will take me a long time to forget about the love I lost. I went from the happiest person in the world, who had a plan to bring us all even closer, to a broken, defeated person in a matter of minutes. The woman I loved turned me into an unwilling cuckold. She humiliated me in ways I couldn't imagine in my wildest nightmares, and she expected me to take her home. I'm sad, and just want to cry. But you know me and I won't dwell on the past. I'll let you know when we get back. Jonathan. With tears flowing uncontrollably, I sat there, completely shocked and devastated. Oh God, no, he can't do this. He can't leave me. This is all wrong, and this is not how he should have reacted. He always told me that he loved me and wanted me to be happy. How can he be so upset? I should explain this better. Apparently, he didn't understand what I wrote and took it the wrong way. I need to call Jamie. He knows what to do. Hello, Jamie, it's me. He left me and took the girls. What should I do? He had to talk to me and understand that our relationship meant nothing but sex. He said he was leaving me, and I don't know what to do, I said, crying into the phone. Zoe, stop crying. He is upset, but in a few days, he will come to his senses. This doesn't mean you leave him or date me, it's just a few hours of sex that we share when he's at work. He won't want to leave you because of this. He will also think about the cost of breaking up with you, and this will help him realize that he needs to accept a new normal. Have you told him how much you love him? Yes, sure. I explained everything in the letter and meant every word. He is the most important thing in my life, and I will die without him. How can he be so selfish and not understand? I needed him to be happy for me. What can I do here? I'm in so much pain. Just get some sleep and try to call him tomorrow, after he's had some time to process what happened and how things will go. I'll be home tomorrow by noon. Why don't you come over and then we can talk about it? Get some sleep, Zoe. I didn't sleep much that night, and when I finally gave up trying the next morning, shortly after noon, I immediately dialed Jonathan's number, but it rang once and then hung up. This meant that he blocked my number. Now I had no way to reach him. I'll call the girls and they'll give the phone to their dad. Cassie answered the phone and was glad to hear from me, which lifted my spirits. Hello, Mommy? Hello, honey. Is your dad here? I need to talk to him. Mom, Dad said he doesn't want to talk to you and won't pick up the phone if you call. What's going on, Mom? Dad seems really upset and different. It's okay. Moms and dads sometimes quarrel. Your father misunderstood something I did and got angry and left. I need to explain this so he doesn't get angry anymore. I'll ask him to talk to you again, Mom. Wait. I heard her talking to him and I didn't like his answer. Mom, he said he'll call you when he's ready to talk. Will you be okay, Mom? Yeah, don't worry, baby. Your dad and I will be fine. Just be good and call me, okay? Give your dad a kiss for me and pass the phone to your sister. 13-year-old Jennifer and 15-year-old Cassie looked at me curiously after the call. Cassie, as the eldest, had a sad look on her face. Mom cheated on you, Daddy? My heart broke when I heard her question. Fighting back tears, I simply shook my head and told them to get dressed for dinner. It was the hardest thing I had ever had to do, but I knew that, with love and support, they would get through the challenges ahead. Earlier that morning, before the girls got up, I called my family lawyer, who was on the East Coast and already sitting at his desk. I've known George for 20 years and we've been through a lot together. So I told him the story and what I wanted to happen without a preamble. George, I need to know what a divorce will look like and how bad it will be. I want custody of the children, no matter the cost. There is no reconciliation, counseling, or forgiveness. I want this to end as quickly as possible. For a long moment, there was silence on the other end of the line. I understood and gave him a chance to digest the news. He was probably as surprised by my words as I was when I read Zoe's letter. Jonathan, I'm so sorry this happened. Kate and I always thought you two were the perfect couple, and I can't understand how she could do that, but I understand what you're asking. Do you remember when you and Roger started the company and he demanded a prenuptial agreement before agreeing to go into business with you? Do you remember how adamant he was about what happened with his last business and how his wife cheated on him? Well, your prenuptial agreement is drawn up and current, and if she is indeed having an affair, she is giving up her rights to the children and any financial gain from the marriage. Over the years, as your company grew, I maintained a premarital relationship, worked with your corporate lawyers, and placed most of your assets in trust, with you as the benefactor. Homes, cars, bank accounts, and investments all fall under this trust that cannot be touched. This means that if she violates the marriage contract, she leaves the marriage with what she entered it with and loses any rights to the children. I know we didn't put this together for this purpose, but it looks like things are going to work out in your favor. George, you're right. I never in a million years thought she would cheat on me, and I completely forgot about the prenup. But George, all I have is a letter confessing her infidelity. What else do we need? Well, her confession on video or tape would help, along with some photos or a confession from her lover. George, can you take care of this while I'm here in California with the girls? Money is no object, and I want proof as quickly as possible. I don't want this to drag on. There's a name my girls mentioned, a guy named Jamie. The only Jamie I know is the tennis instructor at our country club. Can you negotiate with a private detective and suggest that he start with this? I'm sure she'll contact her lover while I'm gone. Of course, Jamie, the tennis instructor, was my nemesis. They were nonchalant, which made it easier for the private firm to complete the investigation. With my permission, they installed a tracker on Zoe's car, audio recording devices inside the car, and video cameras in our house. All evidence obtained from these devices was legal due to the fact that my company controlled them through a trust. Over the next week, they had enough audio and video recordings, as well as her written confession, to move the case forward. I never watched or listened to any of the evidence because I didn't want those images to haunt me for the rest of my life. Of course, Jamie turned out to be a womanizer and had to leave his last 2 jobs because he slept with other married women. He was much younger, in great shape, and all the ladies in the club were in love with him. Zoe was just one of the many wives he had an affair with at the club. Obviously, middle-aged married women are easy targets for this club pro. George called me 5 days after our first conversation to update me on the progress of the investigation. Jonathan, we have all the necessary evidence. What do you want us to do? Are you still planning to divorce Zoe? Without hesitation, I replied, fill out the divorce papers with the utmost care. I want Zoe to feel some of the pain she caused me and realize how badly she screwed up. I would like them to be served on Tuesday at 10 a.m. at our country club. Every Tuesday at 10 a.m., she has a tennis lesson with Jamie. Can we come up with something for him too? I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's nothing more than a nuisance lawsuit. Come up with something because I want his name on the lawsuit. We can arrange this, and I will work from a professional tennis point of view and contact you. We might be able to get the club to hire a known predator. It probably won't go anywhere, but everyone will know about the affair, which I assume is what you want. When are you coming back? I plan to be home and wait for her after she is notified on Tuesday. I'll make sure I'm home before she gets home. Are you sure you're going to divorce her, Jonathan? As we speak now, definitely. However, I have to think about the girls and talk to her before I sign the papers. It's hard, George, and I hope you never have to go through anything like that. I loved this woman with all my heart, and I just can't stop that love. I also hate what she did to me and the girls, and I will never be able to forgive it. Whatever you decide, I'm here to help, Jonathan. Stay in touch, and we'll let you know as soon as we hear from her. We arrived home on Tuesday morning around 9 a.m., and the girls were happy to be home. I told them that after their mom returned from her tennis lesson, I wanted them to stay in their rooms while their mom and I sorted things out. I could tell they were upset and worried, and I tried my best to let them know that everything would work out. It was a warm summer day, and the tennis dress I wore was short and sexy. It showed off my toned legs, and Jamie smiled as he saw his sexy concubine walk into his office. After we exchanged warm hugs and were about to start the lesson, a girl in short cut-off jeans and a cropped shirt came bouncing onto the playground. "Hello, is there anything we can help you with?" Jamie asked, smiling at the cute girl. "Yes. Are you Jamie Connors?" "This is true. Who are you?" "Well, today I'm your worst nightmare." "You have been notified," she said, handing him an envelope. He opened it when I went over to see what it was. He looked at it and said, "Damn, I'm in a lawsuit against the club for sexual harassment. What the fuck? Who did it?" The young girl was still standing next to Jamie when she asked me, "Excuse me, miss, are you Zoe King?" "Yes," I answered in surprise. "This is for you. You have been notified." When I saw the divorce decree, I fell to my knees and cried. "This can't be. He's divorcing me. He didn't even give me a chance to explain myself. How can he do this to me after so many years? Oh my God, he knows how much I love him, so why would he do this?" As I knelt sobbing on the hard clay court, I felt the curious gazes of the other participants on me. It's horrible. I can only imagine what they are thinking. How could it all go so wrong? I could tell Jamie was angry as he paced up and down the court, glaring at the legal papers. When he looked at me and said, "Zoe, you need to go home, and I need to go to the club to see." Were they so well informed? "I need to figure this out, and you need to go home and contact your husband. Let's see if you can stop him from ruining our lives. Please go away." Wiping the tears from my cheeks, I stood up, ran to my car, and tried to control my emotions. But as soon as I was inside and away from prying eyes, the tears returned, and I began to sob uncontrollably. I drove back to the house, scared and upset. When I got there, the girls ran out to greet me, which made me forget about my problems for a moment. "Where is your dad?" "He's inside." I ran into the house, and the second I saw him, I tried to throw myself into his arms. All I wanted to do was hug him and tell him how much I loved him, but he wanted nothing to do with me. He extended his hand, preventing me from getting closer. His refusal gutted me, and for the second time in the last hour, I fell to my knees as the tears returned. "Honey, please don't do this. You know how much I love you and I need you. I missed you so much. Please don't push me away." "Zoe, I see you have divorce papers. We are no longer a couple and will soon get divorced. You should have known it was over the moment you shared yourself with Jamie. Zoe, I don't share this with anyone. It's all up to you, so please be an adult and take responsibility for your actions. If you've read the divorce agreement, you already know that. You will need to move out and find somewhere to live. The girls will stay with me, and you will have unlimited visitation rights unless you piss me off. The moment I read your letter and learned how treacherous you were, I took decisive action. Because you violated the prenuptial agreement you signed before we got married, you gave up your rights to the children and any financial support. Jonathan, you did all this without even giving me a chance to explain myself, and that's not fair. Obviously, I didn't explain this correctly in the letter, and I'm very sorry about that, but give me a chance, please. Fine. Please continue to explain this so I can understand what you did. Dear, in the letter, I wanted you to know how much I love you and would never leave you. You and the girls mean more to me than anything else in the world, and I would never do anything to hurt any of you. I wanted you to know that I would die for you and want to be with you for the rest of my life. Your love for me is amazing, and I appreciate you more than you can ever imagine. So, you can't just kick me out and divorce me. You have to understand that it was just something physical that I needed. You've always given me everything I wanted or needed. Why should this time be any different? Well, I do understand that you believe you love me and want us to stay together. You say you would never do anything to hurt me, and yet you brought another man into our marriage. How could it do anything other than hurt me? There is no place for a third party in my married life. I have zero tolerance for infidelity, and that's what you did. You became an unfaithful wife and committed adultery against me and our marriage. She broke our wedding vows, our prenuptial agreement, and humiliated me and your children. And for this, I will never forgive you. You have chosen to have sex with a man outside of our marriage, and for that you will face consequences. Our choices always have consequences, and I think you made a bad choice this time. Why don't you follow me? I do not love him. You are the man I love. Can't you understand this? Why are you acting this way? I shouted at him in despair. The expression on his face did not change, and so I repeated to myself, I love you, not him. What the hell is wrong with you, Zoe? You made me an unwilling cuckold and humiliated me. This is not love, this is contempt. You gave up your marriage and children for a man who is a known womanizer and who is currently sleeping with Barbara Weiss, Chloe Thomas, and 2 other women at the club. You're stupid. Did you really think you were his only girlfriend? Also, have you thought about your future after he breaks up with you in a few months? At your age, you are no longer suitable for marriage. I see a long, lonely future for you, Zoe. You haven't really thought this through. Someday you may understand what you have done and what kind of life you have chosen. And now you need to leave. I will ask my driver to take you wherever you want, but you are no longer welcome in my house. Do you want me to just leave? This is my home, too. I want to stay here, honey. I'll stop seeing him. This was a mistake. We can just forget about this and go back to normal if you just give me a chance, but don't kick me out. Well, this is not your house. The house is held in trust, and you are not part of it. The car is also part of the trust, and it stays here too. You have $3,000 in your checking account, which is what you had when we got married, and nothing more. And no, we can't go back to the way things were. I will never touch you again after you have defiled yourself. Part of the divorce agreement requires that you return your maiden name and no longer use mine. You will have unlimited access to the girls, but they will live here with me. You gave up everything the moment you started cheating on me. How are you doing with that now, Zoe? Was that special chemistry and sexual satisfaction worth losing everything over? I hope that what you've lost keeps you up every night and that you feel the pain you caused me and that it stays with you for years to come. Yes, I loved you more than life itself, but I will not live with a cheating wife. You can spin your story any way you want, but the bottom line is that you took a lover outside of our marriage, and that was the end of our 16 wonderful years. Zoe, still lying on the floor, was depressed. Her world was falling apart around her, and up until this point, she had always gotten everything she wanted and never expected Jonathan to react the way he did. She really thought that he would understand and support her in this short relationship if it made her happy. Zoe realized that she had completely misunderstood her husband, followed the terrible advice of that predator Jamie, lost her family, and ruined her wonderful marriage of 16 years. Jonathan looked at Zoe, holding back tears at the loss of his happy life and the love he carried in his heart. His love gave way to loss and sadness due to her selfishness and actions. He knew that the pain and sadness that filled him would last a long time, but he also knew that there was no turning back from her infidelity and contempt. 6 months later, the divorce was finalized. Since Zoe was still a mother to my 2 girls, I paid for the first 3 months for a small, furnished 2-bedroom apartment that was close to our home and club. I also bought a 3-year-old Toyota Camry for her to drive. I knew I didn't have to give her anything, but I wanted my kids to be able to see their mom whenever they wanted. Yes, Lamborghinis and a rich lifestyle are now a thing of the past. She gave up everything for some loser tennis player she would never see again. Being the nice guy that I am, I even got her a job at the country club. Yes, the country club was happy to help as soon as I withdraw my claim. They agreed to get rid of Jamie and help Zoe get a job if I dropped the lawsuit. Zoe is no longer a member of the country club, but is now one of the waitresses at the club, which helps her pay the bills. Since she had no experience or training for any other job, her only option was to get a job as a waitress at a club. I'm sure she felt humiliated when she went from being one of the club's famous members to one of their waitresses. There were no more expensive shopping trips or weekends with the girls. All the money she made at the club had to go towards rent, insurance, and food. She had never had to worry about bills or a budget in her entire life. But suddenly she was on her own. The realization of what she had done and what she had given up hit her like a ton of bricks. I didn't need her to admit it. I saw it on her face every time I saw her. Of course, Jamie dumped Zoe as soon as the trial began in an attempt to keep his job, so now she had no one to go home to. The girls told me that their mother cried every night because of the love and lifestyle that she gave up to satisfy some selfish needs. It took all this for her to realize what she had done and how stupid she had been for thinking that her husband would accept her selfish desires. I was sad about how things turned out, and I told the girls that I still loved their mom and that they should love and forgive her. They remained close and saw their mother on weekends. Later that year, while she was picking up the girls, we had our first friendly conversation. She told me that she finally realized what she had done and begged me to forgive her for her actions. "Jonathan, I know we won't be together again, and you'll never be able to trust me again, but I wanted to apologize and beg you to forgive me. Now I understand what I did and how much I hurt you. My life was completely different, and I was a spoiled woman who didn't give a damn about the world. At the time, I felt entitled and justified in my actions and didn't even think about how you would react. Now, I know what I did and what I put you through, and I'm so sorry. If there was a way to take it all back, I would do it in a second. Losing you was the worst thing that ever happened to me, and I miss you and your love so much it hurts. I've matured over the past year, and when I look back, I can't believe I was so stupid and gave up everything because of my selfish, righteous attitude. I'm so sorry I ruined everything, and I beg you to find the strength to forgive me. I will always love you, Jonathan, and I want you to know that you were the perfect husband." Her confession was sincere, and I knew that in time I might be able to forgive her. I would never stop loving her. She was my life, and I loved her for so many years. You can't just turn off that kind of love. Zoe was still a beautiful woman, and I was sure it wouldn't be long before someone would take her home and she would start a new life. I hoped she had learned her lesson and would remain faithful when she did. They fired Jamie from the club, and he eventually moved to South Carolina, where a small club on Hilton Head hired him as an assistant tennis professional. It only took him a month before he was back to his old tricks and started courting married women. However, boys in South Carolina are a little less lenient than in the big city. When he was caught with the wife of one of the good guys, things didn't end well. During one of my lonely nights as I reflected on our happy family times, I read a passage that made me think, the biggest mistake a man makes is giving another man the opportunity to make his woman smile. I will never make this mistake again.